trauma histories within the correctional system, and some listeners might think that these histories are immediately identifying. Unfortunately, these histories are common, though often unspoken. Most of my female forensic clients were severely sexually and physically abused by caregivers, and their history is not enough to identify them. Nonetheless, I've changed key circumstances to mitigate this slight risk, and have only provided details when necessary to illustrate a clinical point. Finally, I need to say that while I work for a public forensic mental health service, all views expressed in this book are my own only, and are not representative of the views held within my organization or of the broader legal, correctional, and mental health systems within which I work. Any discussion of specific mental health or correctional settings utilizes information that is available in the public domain. I discuss a range of personal experiences in this book and acknowledge that my recollection of events is imperfect and that other people's memories may differ. When I have discussed real events, names and identifying characteristics have been removed. The tasks of a psychologist and a writer often diverge, though I consider that truth-telling and advocacy for those whose voices have been ignored are the tasks of both. In the Sisyphean task of merging these two roles, I have been guided above all by my own ethics and values, and desire to effect change, while openly and compassionately acknowledging realistic systemic limitations. Introduction. The early years of the 2020s were exceedingly hard for many of us. We lived through a pandemic and all its attendant difficulties, including separations from those closest to us, illness and death, despair, collapsed health systems, and massive declines in mental health. Though my work remained stable, there were times I found myself shaken by a deep existential terror. Nothing felt meaningful. I felt utterly disconnected from everyone I loved, and I had no hope for humanity or myself. These terrifying dark thoughts and feelings made sense when placed in the context of a global pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic brought to the world a type of collective trauma on a scale previously unknown in our lifetimes. This came not only in the form of health and economic forces, but also relational and social ones. Many of us were ripped apart from each other, left bereft of hope, and struggled through without the capacity to band together. When given the opportunity to connect, some of us declined, exhausted and terrified of re-entry to the world. Our reactions have mirrored those of survivors of serious childhood neglect, who often demonstrate complete withdrawal and an inability to connect with other people. Beyond the reach of the pandemic, those years brought other traumas front and center in Australia. A survivor of sexual abuse, Grace Tame, was awarded Australian of the Year for her excellent work on advocacy for victims. The coroner's report on an Aboriginal woman's death in custody noted that her death was wholly preventable and related to systemic and individual failures. The Nadasalingam refugee family from Biloela continued to quietly suffer medical neglect, separation from community, and the after-effects of the experiences that led them to fleeing Sri Lanka. Numerous refugees were imprisoned for years in tiny, airless hotel rooms in Melbourne. Globally, race-driven violence continued, and tensions catalyzed into action and riots after George Floyd's death. Women were killed by current and former partners. Military troops withdrew from Afghanistan, creating scenes of chaos and turmoil, and dread of the years to come, as people in Afghanistan, especially women, experienced a return to life under the Taliban regime. Russia invaded Ukraine. Roe v. Wade was overturned, leaving millions of American women without safe and legal access to abortion.